We are under attack, no doubt about it. So I am a trade unionist, and I'm a proud trade unionist. I don't know if anybody saw the politics show when I was on with Liam Fox, and he turned around and he said we're run by the trade unions. I said I'm really proud that I'm a trade unionist, and actually it's a member-led organisation, unlike the Tory party that gets funded by hedge funds. They don't have to ask their shareholders if they want to contribute to the Tory party. They just take the money. So we're completely different. So we should be proud that we were born out of the trade union movement. So I would never shy away from that. I ended up pointing my finger at him, which I try not to do, but he annoyed me that much. I also called David Cameron a liar, because he is. I can't call him a liar on the floor of the House, although I've shouted it out like heckling, you know, but I can't officially do it on the floor of the House, but we can do it outside. And I think it's important that as a party, we are consistent in our message against the Tories and what they're doing. And we have to be very mindful about everything that they're doing. So we have to support everybody's campaign, okay? So junior doctors and their campaign against their contracts, we have to support them. You know, what the government's trying to do is to try to say to them that they have to work 7 AM till 10 PM and that's a normal day's work, that's in the normal hours. It isn't. They're saying they have to work weekends because weekends are manufactured and it doesn't really mean anything. We have to be mindful that this is just snowballing into trying to get everybody to work weekends. So you have no weekends. Sundays are the only days that people get to spend time with their families. Or if they are going to work, they get paid a premium to work. If that gets taken away, they're never going to get... So we have to be mindful that we have to protect everybody's campaign because it is about unity. The living wage. We had the debate on tax credits, and you know, again, we try to put them under pressure in regards to the living wage. The national living wage is not the living wage. It's fake, it's made up, it's a con, it's a ruse to try and get people confused, and it is confusing people. It's more than £2 less than the minimum wage. So when they say that the cuts in tax credits would be offset by the increase in their national living wage, it's a con. But there's an element, like all good cons, there's an element of truth in that con. Because a con, you can't get conned unless there's an element of truth in it. If it's completely, you know, off the part, you say, oh no, that's, you know, that's not true. But the element of truth is maybe the increase in the national living wage, but that won't be till 2020. But the cuts are coming in 2016. So that's why the Lords overruled the tax credits cuts. SI, right? Standard instrument. What it's called? Statutory instrument. Now, what Osborne thought he was doing, which was kind of clever with using a statutory instrument, is when you use a statutory instrument, it has less scrutiny than if you went through a bill process. So he thought, we'll put this in through an SI, and it will just flow through, because nobody will be able to do anything about it. They didn't realize, well, he didn't really think it through, that the Lords will say, hang on a minute, we've got a right to vote this down. If it was done under a bill, the Lords wouldn't have had the right to vote it down. So he screwed himself, really, and so be it. The high wage economy argument that there always is, I'm in favour of a high wage economy. We're all in favour of we all want a high wage economy. Having a 1% pay freeze on public sector workers does not contribute to a high wage economy. So they're not making sense in their arguments. They're saying one thing and they're doing another. And we have to be mindful of this. That's why we have to support everybody's campaign. And what they're trying to do, okay, is they're trying to make sure that they will stay in power forever. It's got nothing to do, when they talk about Jeremy Corbyn, when people say Jeremy Corbyn is going to make sure that, that's bullshit, okay? What the Tories are doing is trying to manipulate the system so they can stay in power forever. So, the stuff about people, individual registration, there's only one purpose for that, and that's to knock people off the voter register. That's the only purpose. It's got nothing to do with fraud. The fraud that goes on in electoral registration is very, very, very small. So that's more than a sledgehammer and a nut. Do you know what I mean? It's a very, very small. The only reason why they're doing it is so they can take people off the register. Because they're doing that, and then whatever that result is on the 1st of December, that's the number they're going to go on when they redraw the boundaries. How can that be right? How can you take 1 million, maybe 2 million? I can tell you in Brent, we've got at least 20,000 people that are not on the register. Okay, and they're never going to be on the register, right? And you're going to take more people off. Okay, it's absolutely outrageous what they're doing to manipulate the system, and we have to be mindful of that, and we have to tell people this is what's happening. I know that they tried to overrule that, and unfortunately it didn't. I think it got passed in the Lords by about 17, a majority of 17. So unfortunately, that wasn't overturned. But the only way we're going to counteract that is to make sure that people are registered to vote, and they need to be registered. I mean, if they haven't got their national insurance number, put in the form anyway, because they get on the registration, then Brent Council has to come back and say, okay, what's your national insurance number? We can't let them get away with this, because all they're trying to do is manipulate us and the system and the working class to make sure that they stay in power for a long time. I hope that people, I hope that the reality will hit. Maybe these letters won't go out for Christmas. Because what they also planned was, what all governments do, you get bad news out of the way early. So they're going to tell everybody about their cuts to tax credits this year, then they hope in 4 years' time, nobody will remember. Because you would have been struggling, and you would have fought your way, and you would have forgotten why you're struggling. That was their hope. We're now making sure that we prolong that so people know what this government is about. So we are so under attack. I spoke to some people on the committee, the trade union bill on the committee, they met today, and they said, we won all the arguments, but we lost the votes. Because obviously we haven't got the majority. And what the Tories have done is they've put a load of new members on the committee who would be too scared to vote against the government. That's a ploy. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. How the hell we're going to get around this, I don't know. I mean, I hate to think I'm going to end up in prison. I really do. I hate to think I'm going to get arrested. But somehow I've got a feeling that if this goes through, that I'm going to be joining a lot of picket lines. And we also have to be careful. The devil's in the detail. So they've taken off the armband thing off the face of the bill. So it's not on the face of the bill. But on the face of the bill, what they've put is that the Secretary of State can at any time reinstate some of the armband stuff and the Facebook stuff and things. So the devil is always in the, you have to be so on your guard. It's absolutely impossible to keep on top of everything that they're doing all of the time. But we have to be mindful. But I just have to say, we have to support everybody's cause, because what they're doing is systematically picking off different groups. They thought that the doctors wouldn't be able to organise themselves. Well, they were wrong, and the doctors have organised themselves. They thought they wouldn't be able to organise themselves, and they have done. We have to remember that we have to support everybody's campaign.